share that with you. So you just went about getting it yourself. I think that's kind of it for this life. Hi, Mary Rivera. I know the connections are really wonky. I don't know what's going on tonight. Some of that carried over to this lifetime about 20 years ago. Brittany, charmings are $25. So that's kind of what I feel like is going on here in this life. Is it was just sort of about, it wasn't like necessarily a good life or a bad life. It was about a life of amassing spiritual knowledge. And sort of being true to yourself, regardless of what others thought, how they perceived you. It didn't really matter. I also feel like you kind of maybe would have liked to have shared these aspects of yourself, but you were unable to because people weren't necessarily on your same plane or exist, like your same awareness level, right? I don't think that it was very normal for people to want to like jump in a boat and go to India, or jump in a boat and go to, some far off place and study meditation, or explore like, vast libraries of knowledge. But it feels like this is what you were doing. And also it wasn't like necessarily a woman's place to do this per se. You were kind of an adventurer, I feel like, in that regard. But you also had like sort of the resources like money and clout. Your family, I feel like the families were important people in whatever like society this was, whatever European city this might have been. It could have been France because of the Eiffel Tower, but I don't want to take that quite so literally. I think this means more like Europe in general. But you guys were well off, both families. I feel like it was kind of like a coming together of two families, a union of two families that sort of was beneficial for both of the families. Therefore, you stayed in it. You didn't complain. You did what you did, and you enjoyed what you were allowed to enjoy in your own time. And you sort of kept it to yourself. You weren't necessarily allowed to share it, or not allowed to share it. You just chose not to because it was just not well received. Oh, those are your initials, Divya? That's awesome. Okay. That's awesome that Facebook allows you to pay. I didn't know that. That's really cool. All right, let me just check my PayPal. Make sure that nobody else has. All right, so do you have this? Brittany, if you want to use this link, you can pay $25 and I can do a charming for you if you'd like. These are paid. I don't do free stuff every night. I have to make some money somewhere, There is a contest though. If you want to wait for the contest, I'm going to probably pull a charm and you guys have to guess what the charm is, and then I'll do a charming for that person. But if you want a charming right now, you can pay for one. And if not, I'll do the free giveaway charming. But the person that guesses the charm that I have in my hand wins it. There's no hurt feelings. me see, what can I put in my hand? That's the other question. That you guys won't know what it is. Let me see, let me see, let me see. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, guys. So, does anybody else want to pay for a charming? If not, I have somebody that bought a charming for somebody, but you have to win the contest, and I'll do the charming for you if you want. But if nobody wants a paid charming, then I'll do the call out for what's in my hand. The person that gets it right will win the charming, and that will be the last charming of the night. So, going once, going twice. Help me pay my doctor bills. Oh, Brittany just bought a charming. Okay, cool. So, Brittany, you want... the video's been bad all night. I don't know why. So, Brittany, you want a past life charming? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you for supporting the channel. Let's do a past life charming for Brittany Cardinale. Shit, Brittany, you got a lot of letters. Okay. You got an E, a K, an A, a rake. You got a rake, girl. You got an R. You got a D. You got a lot of glass stuff and a V. Darker, D-A-R-K-E-R, right? Darker V. I don't know. All right, let me look at this for a moment. It's interesting, you got Santa Muerte down here. She's like the god of death. What's going on here? Okay, Brittany, are you ready for this? This is kind of strange. I sort of feel like this might be Egypt. I sort of feel like the reason why is the cobra. I also feel like this is like representational of you, even though it's Mary. But what I feel like is as I'm looking at this with all of these glass stones around it, is I feel like this was a life where you were kind of like a witch. Or not like what would be considered like a Wiccan witch, but like you were, you know, like how in Greece they had the, what did they call the women? The, shit, I can't think of the name. When they were up in the, they would go to see these women that would tell the future. But I feel like this wasn't Greece. I feel like this was more in Egypt or more in like the desert. And you were more like a bruja, like a witch, like a medicine woman. I feel like you were alone, you were solitary. Santa Muerte's here. You like walk the worlds between life and death. I feel like the snake also represents something that you did ritualistically with snakes, and like you also have the lizard up here. To me, I feel like there was some magic being done in this life, and I don't necessarily know that it was the lightest of magic. Like I feel like there might have been some like this word darker also is making me think that there was something going on where superstition was stronger back then, right? Because the society was more primitive, right? They didn't necessarily understand things as much or as well as maybe we do now. And you had a lot of power, I feel like. I like that she's sort of here in the center. I feel like you were revered, but you were also feared in a lot of ways because you were very powerful. You have all of these glass charms, which is like only you can give your special gift to the world, serenity, breathe, all of these charms, but they're all flipped over. There's also the sun charm here, which has the Eye of Horus on the other side, which also brings me to Egypt. But this sun charm makes me also think of the desert and being empowered by sort of the sun or the elements. Sorry, it's out of focus. Is that better? Oh, shit. This says, with an attitude of gratitude, your good can only increase. I sort of feel like, Brittany, like I feel like, and I hate to say this, but I feel like you might have been like some sort of weird high priestess that did some weird stuff back in the day that used to scare the shit out of people. This baby also makes me feel like there might have been some sacrificing going on back then. And I feel like all of these stones are sort of positive, right? Yet they're flipped over, meaning you sort of dabbled in the dark arts. It was a lifetime that you learned about power, I feel like, that you learned about being sort of feared and being a powerful female in this time. But I feel like you were almost as powerful as the men. Like the men feared you too. Like even the men of power at the time. I'm just looking at this. I feel like you lived to like a very old age. Like you died sort of naturally. It wasn't like an abnormal death or anything like that. You were very much left. Like it's funny. Feel like people consulted you. They came to you for assistance, but they also feared you because you had this connection with like the other side that was undeniable and kind of scary. I'm gonna say that only because, and I don't usually see scary stuff in my charms, and I don't feel like this is like super scary. But what I do feel like is like the power that you were running in this lifetime was very sort of between two worlds, and that scared a lot of the people around you. And you were learning something as a female being in a female body, being a spirit. Now, I want you to hear this because I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with this lifetime, but why I feel like this lifetime was mocked up. Well, it was about learning about intense power being in a female body when that was not allowed at the time, right? And I get this sense from this Mary charm that it was like nothing scared you. You had such a sort of sense of, also with Santa Muerta down here, like you weren't even afraid of death. And that's what sort of scared everybody else around you. I also feel like, I swear to God, I see like when I'm looking at this cobra, I feel like you used to let cobras bite you, or you used to do, you know how they have those weird religious tent revival things where they do the snake biting stuff? Like you were doing this way back in Egypt. And I feel like people didn't know how to take you. Like they were just like, whoa, this bitch is crazy. But they also knew that you were powerful. They knew that you could cross over to the other realm, that you could conduct certain things or make certain things happen that were powerful. She released a baby that was holding you back? Did she say why? It's not gypsies, Brittany. It's more like you were, like literally, I feel like you were a priestess of some sort. Like you were in power. This was not about being wandering. People knew where you were. They were afraid of you. They would come and consult with you. They would ask for your help. Very powerful men would come and ask for your help. But you scared the shit out of everybody. Like, let's just say that. You were a woman that like could move between the two realms is what I feel like. And I feel like you weren't afraid of anything. And I'm trying to remember what was the name of the women they were. I've been there in not Pompeii, in shit, I can't even think about it now. In Greece. They were the women that used to foresee the future, and it's kind of like that, but this is a little bit darker than that. This is a little bit like more superstitious. You've got to understand, this was back in Egypt, right, where they were worshiping different gods. There was different things going on. There was darker stuff going on, right? So it wasn't necessarily that it was bad per se, but it was just heady, trippy, spiritual energy, right? And you were definitely connected to that in this lifetime. I feel like this baby is like I don't know if it was a sacrifice or, but I feel like there was some stuff going on. And all of these charms here were sort of like you kind of creating not hexes, but like you could do numbers on people. But that was because people were superstitious back then, right? And so, and you weren't afraid. And I think that intimidated everybody. And I just, the way that this cobra is like pointed at her, like I feel like not only did you have a connection with like spirit, right? Like the other side, like you called in some of the like Santa Muerta's no joke. She's like the Grim Reaper, right? Like you kind of could do some weird magic. There was also this connection to like sort of transmutation and snake magic, and I feel like I don't know if you were letting snakes bite you and then living through it and like letting, like that kind of a thing where you were proving like almost like I feel like you were conducting miracles in some ways, or like things where people would be like, how did she do that? There's no way. And so they just sort of feared you. But this life wasn't about like like some lives we live darker pasts and we live like we do things for more darker reasons to learn about the light, to get ourselves to the light, right? And I feel like this might have been one of those lifetimes where you were learning about having extreme power in a feminine body in a time when that was not possible, right? I also get the feeling that you were left alone in this life, like nobody messed with you. Like you were both feared and revered at the same time. The Oracle of Delphi. That's what I'm thinking of. So similar to like the Oracle of Delphi, the Oracle were the Delphi that there were the group of women that used to sort of sit in that room and inhale the smoke and then foresee the future. It's kind of like that, but it's even further back than Delphi, is what I feel like. I feel like it's further back and it's more in the desert. So it takes me to like Egypt, especially with the sun and the Eye of Horus up there. This is about like way back when like you know we probably were far more spiritually connected because there was less of a veil, there was less activity, there was less people on the planet, there was less craziness going on, right? So you could do more crazy intense shit. The Vestal Virgins, is that what they were too? Yeah, I don't think that this necessarily means that you're a bad person. It just was like you had to learn in a time that it was a much darker, more superstitious time. There were different gods, there was different magic, there was different things going on at the time back then where to learn about being a woman in power, you almost had to go this route. There wasn't, unless you were going to be a queen, you couldn't necessarily, you know what I'm saying? There weren't very many options for being in a female body and learning about uh, the the role of power. Let's just say that. And so this was the route you went, and it was this route of sort of this high priestess or kind of witch woman that I feel like was very strong. And I would just say this after bringing up this life, I would say anything like I don't know how much you meditate or anything, Brittany, but what I would say is if you wanted to look at this life in a meditation, ask to have it mocked up, ask to have it shown to you in the way that you would understand it from your spirit, because I could be delivering it slightly differently than it actually was. You would be able to see it better and more clearly in meditation. But as you do that, ask yourself what were the lessons that you needed to learn from that life? What is it that you can let go of from that life? What karmically can you separate yourself from and release from this life? Because I do feel like there could be some karma from this life because it was such a powerful life, especially with this baby here too, and Santa Muerte. Like I think that like there is this idea that you've explored some extremes in this lifetime that you might want to like I don't know if heal's the right word. Release might be a good thing. Like you've learned the knowledge, you've had the knowledge, you can sort of let that go at this point. What any karma that's attached to this, right? That you can like be in gratitude of this life and the experience that you gained from it, and then release that karma. Because I feel like when we release that karma, all of these flip over. All of these glass beads will flip over. Like it's like boom, 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 boom. Like, and all of these things come in, like all of this goodness comes rushing in. Sorry, put it out of focus with my hand. And so it sort of like heals any sort of leftover stuff from this life that might be being carried by you or anybody else that has connections to this lifetime, right? That has any memory of this lifetime or any sort of connections, whether conscious or unconscious. Lisa, I can see your messages, yes. I can see you, Brittany. I'm sorry. I'm totally looking at the charms. Like, I don't necessarily read the chat box while I'm looking at the charms. I totally go into the charms and into my mind's eye and start looking at what I'm seeing in my mind's eye and the charms and how they connect. So I'm not necessarily always seeing the comments as they come by. So sorry if it feels like I'm not paying attention. All right, so I'm going to. I am going to clear this board off. Do you want to take a screenshot of this, Brittany? Hi, Rowena. And I'm gonna do the free charming now. Somebody bought a charming to gift to somebody, but we're gonna do a contest for it. So the anonymous buyer wants to remain anonymous, which is totally fine. And so I'm gonna do a contest where I have something in my hand and you have to guess what it is to win the charming. So I'm gonna clear this off, Brittany. Is that okay? And you guys, just so you know, I also have a Patreon page that you can support. If you want to go over and do a subscription over there for the daily forecast, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you don't have money to afford a subscription, that's completely fine. If you just go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel or like the Facebook business page and follow it, I greatly appreciate that. All of that is forms of support. All right, welcome, Brittany. Thank you for purchasing a Charming. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so now let's get to this contest. You're welcome, Brittany. You're totally welcome. Thank you for purchasing the Charming. You help to keep this. By buying readings, you guys keep me doing this work. If you guys don't buy readings, then I can't afford to stay online and do this work. I will have to go get a job. I don't want to have to go get a job. All right, I want to do this. All right, so I have something in my hand. We're going to have the contest now. Ideally, this will go to somebody that's hopefully new, but those of you that are regular viewers, if you want to guess, you're allowed to guess. I have something in my hand, and it will win you a Charming, but you have to guess what it is. And I'll show you once you guess. And that's it. So, kick off the guessing. God, my eye. Oh, I want to get it fixed. Yes, Brittany, please book a reading with me. I'm trying to get, February was dead quiet. I didn't have very many readings in February, so I'm sort of stressing about money. So if you want to book a reading, please feel free to. My card readings are, I mean, I don't want to sound like a total braggart, but I read really, like, my personal readings are very good. I hate to do that because I feel like I'm pandering to people, but if you book a reading, please just message me at the business page. I love to do readings. I can do, you know, I can't really do charmings in this format because they're public, but I can charm and sort of show through my phone or whatever. It's not dice, it's not a crystal, and it's not a charm, Rowena put. It's not a dice, no. I'll tell you guys this, I'll give you a hint. It's not from the charm box. So, it's not a house, Giga. It's not a worry stone. It's going to take you guys a little while to get this, I think. Hey, Tracy Marie. It's not a sunflower. Yeah, that's, tap into your third eye. I'm sending you guys what it is. See who can pick up that information. I just put it out there. It's not a dime, Rowena. Not a labradorite palm stone. Deanna, no. It's not something cubical. It's not a rose quartz crystal. It's not a snake from your Charming, Brittany. It's not a card. Oh God, I need to shave. I've been such a lazy bastard. Not a chakra stone. Not pyrite. Alright, I'll give you guys a hint. It's not a crystal of any kind. So that'll help narrow it down, I think. It's not a crystal at all. So you guys don't have to go down crystals. It's not a sunstone. It's not angel wings. How many of there are you in the room right now? It's not it's not fluorite. It's not a stone. It's not crystal, guys. It's not an angel wing charm. It's not a coin. It's no. 10? I don't know what 10 is. This is gonna take forever. Oh, are you guys typing 10 just to see if the chat is working? It's not a totem. Well, it could be a totem, but I would want something more specific. A totem could be like any sort of animal. It's not cat food, no. Is it edible? It's not edible. And it's not an astrological symbol, no. Let me see, what kind of hint can I give you guys that's not going to give it away too much? It flies. It's not a key charm. Oh, I asked how many people were in the room. Okay, thank you. I was like, what's the 10 for? No, you cannot eat it. I mean, you could, but you wouldn't want to. It's not cat food. It's not a bear. It's not a bird. It's not an eagle. It's not dragonflies. It's not a hummingbird. It's not an angel. It's not a rog. I said it flies, yes. That's a hint that won't give it completely away, I feel like. It's not a butterfly. Yep, Deanna. Deanna got it. It's a ladybug. Deanna Morris Moczarny. You got it. It's a ladybug. It's a ladybug. So Deanna got it. Did you guys see that? No, Deanna, you won it. She's still guessing. A bee! You won already. It's a ladybug. It's a yellow ladybug. Deanna Morris Moczarny won it. Alright, so let me go put this back and we'll do your thing. Hold on. Pretty soon I'm going to run out of small things that I can put in my hands. Alright. Okay, so Deanna, what do you want charmed? Do you want, like, you can give me one word, or you can give me, or we can do a past life charming for you? I picked. Well, we could do a past life charming for you. We could do just a general charming, which would be like whatever comes up we talk about. We could do a love charming. It's okay. I understand. Lag happens. Whichever one you want. Sometimes general charmings are good because it's just like sort of open to whatever, and I just talk about whatever I see in the charms. Or if you don't have anything specific that you want to know about. Some people like the past life charmings, but that's like past life stuff, so it might be stuff that you're dealing with now that carries over from a past life. You want a past life one, Deanna? Alright. Alright, we're gonna change cameras. Brittany's like, oh my god, I need a love charming! Okay. butterflies of animals. All right, let's see what we've got going on. We have D, D, C, E, N, F. Oh no, we don't have another E. I was gonna say fence. Huh, okay, well I don't know if these mean anything, but let's see what we've got going on here. Let me look at this really quick. So when I look at this, what I'm feeling here is I feel like first off, these three charms right here. I feel like you are a woman in this life. I feel like you were married in this life. And I feel like you had children in this life. You had a boy. And I feel like you might have possibly had lost the boy. And the reason why I say that, like he may have passed when he was younger, is that this ball player represents to me like the son or the child and how they play, right? And he's face down and he's upside down at the foot of the family. And there was a huge transformation. This butterfly is the butterfly of great transformation. So I feel like there was a great transformation that happened within the family or in this lifetime for you around the loss of this child. I want to say that the family held strong. Like to me, it feels like it didn't sort of tear everything apart, but it was very hard on you. And I feel like going forward, right, from this experience, everything became about the loss of this child for you. Like going into the future of this lifetime. Because you have these, you have like the personal power stone, you have the bull, the fish with the bony fish. To me, this is kind of like about sort of nothing really ever felt fulfilling again to you after this loss is sort of what it felt like to me. Like, I'm just gonna flip this charm over really quick. When you look at this is the charm of like the aura, right? And like being in the center of one's aura and feeling sort of like all of the colors of one's aura. And it's flipped over here over the personal power of the horse. The horse represents personal power for me. And the bony fish to me feels like there was maybe like at the time in this lifetime, there wasn't necessarily an idea of what depression was, right? But maybe you might have suffered from something that would be similar to like a depression because it feels like everything beyond this point kind of felt lackluster or like you couldn't reconnect back. You have the graduation charm, which to me feels like this is always about sort of moving to another level or gaining another level, getting to another level. I'm just trying to figure out how it fits into here because these three charms here make me feel like you were sort of stuck, not stuck per se, but like that you were sort of, you had a hard time finding the light. We have the sun down here, down in the subconscious, which says to me that you sort of had a light within you that you tried to hold on to, but it was hard to find at times. And I feel like you sort of carried on in this life, like you did what you needed to do as best you could, as strong as you, like that's the bull here, is the sort of the strength of the bull. And like like you have this key with the heart in the body of the key there. Like to me it was almost like your love for the other family members, like your husband at the time. There might have been another child, I feel like, too, maybe a little girl, but whatever was going on, you felt you held on for them. Because to me these three charms just feel like you couldn't sort of connect back. The only thing that like gave you strength was like sort of, and it was the key, right? The symbology of the key that kept you going was this, the love and the strength that you had for the remaining members of the family. I feel like this, what this graduation charm is saying to me is that you learned a lot in this lifetime. That's why you have the giant transformation here. This is about like there was an education that was happening here, even though it was around loss, that there was something like very profound in this lifetime that you had to learn about not only loss, but like also the strength to sort of carry on in the face of that loss. Even if you didn't feel it for yourself, you were able to carry on for others, right? And because of that, because I feel like you didn't feel like you were connected to your energetic body anymore, you didn't feel like you had any personal power anymore. Everything sort of felt like, even if things were good, you couldn't necessarily resonate with that good. Like you couldn't connect to it. That's this bony fish. And so I feel like this, what this cap, this graduation cap is saying to me is that she learned a lot in this lifetime. She learned a lot about the, like sort of staying strong. She learned a lot about giving love to others and like sort of showing up for others in very profound ways, even when she couldn't necessarily show up for herself. I also think that the sun represents is like you being a light for others, even though you weren't necessarily able to sort of always see the light for yourself after this. There was like a when I'm looking at this butterfly too, I'm hearing or like I'm feeling that like there was a definite, not only did you learn about that, but you also learned about compassion. You know, the compassion that you had for maybe your husband and the other child or the rest of the family during this time. Those were the things that sort of drove you and got you through. And you were actually extremely strong in this life. More strong than you even gave yourself credit for. I would say that you were actually probably stronger than most in the family because you felt it so deeply. I mean, they felt it too, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it really affected you on some, because this charm here is on the female side of this family, right? So to me, it feels like it really, he's at your feet. Like his head is at your feet in this charm. So to me, it's like the loss was hit hardest upon you, yet you still sort of held it together. And even though you didn't necessarily feel it within yourself, you were able to connect and stay strong. Almost maybe even, you know, there was like a determination to you, a stubbornness that you weren't going to let it win. I was just looking at this. Look, it's like defense. Or you could say defend. It's just missing like an E. My Spirit's sometimes not a great speller, I have to be honest. Um, they do better with Ouija boards. With all the letters present and flat out. I feel like this is about sort of, if anything, like the carryover from this, or what I feel like it's trying to point out to you is when you lose in this life, right? Or when you suffer losses in this life, and I'm talking about like when you've suffered big losses in this life or setbacks in this life, what have you done? Have you gone and been there for others in the process? Has it been hard for you to be there for yourself? Because I feel like that's what these charms are trying to tell me. Is I feel like in this life you learned a lot about how to be there, like almost disconnected from yourself, yet still be able to be there for others and take care of others. And I wonder if you still do that in this lifetime. Because I feel like these charms want to be turned over. Like this fish wants to be gone. This horse wants to be turned over. The aura wants to be turned over. And this wants to stay right here. Like this wants you to keep learning, keep graduating, keep growing. The sun wants to rise higher too, is how it feels to me. Like this light in your subconscious, that this is like sort of maybe the flicker of the soul that we have within us. Even though this is the sun, to me it's down in the subconscious. It wants to kind of rise higher and be more in the conscious space of your life, right? So when we're looking at this life, and I'm going, okay, so why are we looking at these charms? What is the lesson here for Deanna? What are we saying here? What are we showing her? And what I think that might be is that through huge transformation, even if it's unsettling transformation, in the past you have gone to this place where you've sort of lost touch with yourself. You've been able to stay strong for others more easily than you are able to stay strong for yourself. And although in staying strong for others, you did learn things about compassion, about giving to others and showing up and being responsible and all of that sort of stuff. There's still more to learn in the realm of sort of how do we show up for ourselves? How do we connect to ourselves? How do we find like the our own personal power and our own connection to self amidst setback? You put others first a lot, Deanna. I can tell from this charming, but I think that that's beautiful, right? I think that there's something very beautiful, and I'm compassionate about that. And I think that that was something that you were to learn in this lifetime, right? You were that's what this whole scenario was around, was this loss and learning to sort of stay strong within the face of this and sort of connect for others and carry yourself through and find that strength within yourself to do that. But now I feel like what the charms are telling me is like in this life, what's the next stage of that learning? The next evolution of that learning would be, how do we deal with setback now, and how do we show up for ourselves within that setback? Because I want to see these charms flip over, right? This is like this horse is always the symbol of personal power. And this is like, having our energetic field around us and balanced around us and connected to that and aware of that. And it's not that you're not aware of it. It's just in this lifetime, you are having a harder time connecting to it. So you did for others instead of for yourself. Hi, Gina. How are you? This is going to be the final charming for the night, actually. This was the gift charming that was bought by a viewer to be given away. So this is the last charming for the night. Good, Deanna. I think that it's good. And I also think that I have to say this with that Taurus or with this bull up here and the key with the heart in it. Like, love is very much a driving force for you as your spirit, I feel like. But I want to see that love and that sort of stubbornness or that strong, like bull quality be turned in upon yourself and see how that feels. See what you can learn from that. So, do you want to take a screenshot of this, Deanna? Thank you, Rowena. I can't believe it's still light out. It's already 7:15. It's still light out. That's so crazy. Oh, you're welcome, Deanna. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, you guys. Did you want to take a screenshot of this? Sometimes people like to screenshot their charming so that they can look at them later. You can always come back and rewatch the video on YouTube or whatever. God knows how many times the stream kept breaking, so I've probably got like 3 or 4 charm videos up now. You got a screenshot? Okay, perfect. All right, you guys, thank you all for tuning in. I'm so glad that you guys bought charmings and tuned in. Don't run my eye. I will see you guys next week. There is the daily forecast every morning. You can watch it on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist33. Or you can support me at my Patreon at Engelgeist333 if you'd like. You can subscribe over there. If you subscribe at the highest level, you get a free charming every month. But that's $33.33 a month. And there's extra pick a card readings and things over. Not pick a cards, but like readings for the month over there, like love readings and stuff that I do that are available to my Patreon subscribers that aren't available on YouTube or Facebook. So that's over there. You can check that out if you want. It's a great way to support me and help to keep this content available. And Friday, I think we're going to only do charm nights one night a week on Fridays. I'm not sure. We were doing them Wednesdays and Fridays, but I think we're just going to keep them. They don't seem to, both nights don't fill up completely. It fills up. So we might just keep it to one night a week on Fridays. And Tuesdays is the How I Can Help You hour. So that's free card pulls, or you can always send donations if you see fit or choose to. This is ultimately a business that I'm trying to run, so it helps to put food on my... And you guys, thank you all for tuning in. Later this week, you can always tune in, like I said, tomorrow morning for the forecast. Tomorrow is Saturday's forecast. It's already pre-taped and up on Patreon. If those of you want to see it, you can go over there and subscribe for $3.33 a month, which is about 13 cents a forecast. And you can see the forecast for tomorrow a day early to pre-plan. And then Sunday will be the longer forecast for the whole week. All right, you guys, so have a good night. Thank you very much. And I will talk to you guys soon. All right, bye-bye.